Mommy's YouTube channel.
Perfect.
Hey my dragons, welcome back to my channel. As y'all can see,
It's rather not weekend.
I had to pull it back though because it was kind of hot. It's still kind of hot. I don't wear wigs for real, y'all. Every now and then I put one on. What the hell? Every now and then I put one on, but yeah. So anyway, so I get a lot of questions on Facebook, like when I talk about my son's autism and his improvements. I get a lot of questions about how I found out that he had autism and what were some of the signs that I saw. So he was probably, I want to say 18 months old, maybe a little older, maybe like 20 months. And he wasn't saying as many words as he should have been saying, but he could say his ABCs. He knows all his numbers, colors, but you could tell the words, you could kind of make them out. They weren't very clear. And by that age, supposedly children aren't supposed to be saying so many words, making certain sounds, and he wasn't doing that. He met all of his other developmental milestones, like he crawled on time, he rolled over on time, he walked on time. I did notice when he would eat, he didn't like a lot of textures. And one of the biggest things that stood out to me was
A is
may
for
have been, I think that's, yeah, he was 18 months old when we went to a birthday party. And you know how they had the real pretty, like, decorative bouncy houses? We went in the backyard and he completely had a come apart. Like, he screamed and wailed and cried and fell out and had a full meltdown. And I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized, is my child afraid of colors? Like, that's weird. Like, why does he not want to go to the bouncy house? So I was like, well, that can't be it. So, you know, I kind of got him to calm down a little bit, and then we kept going on into the party. So I wanted to kind of try to see if it was the bouncy house. So I picked him up and held him in my arms and walked over to the bouncy house, and he had a come apart. And I was like, okay, something's going on. So I took him to the doctor, and I was like, hey, you know, Ethan is afraid of colors. Because that was it. I mean, I couldn't figure out what was the other reason he was afraid of the bouncy house. I was like, maybe it was too bright, so maybe his sensory is off. So I told the nurse practitioner, and she was like, yeah, that sounds like a sensory issue. So let's do some more testing. They tested his hearing because he wasn't talking. That, you know, they did the ages and stages questionnaire, which you get to determine where your child is falling developmentally. So we did that, and he kind of had a few gaps. So they referred us to Easter Seals, which is free up until age 3, and you can get speech therapy, occupational therapy. But somehow we slipped through the cracks, and we didn't get the Easter Seals. So she referred us to another company. It was called Child's Play Therapeutic Home Care in San Antonio, Texas. They were phenomenal. Like, I could not have asked for better speech therapists and occupational therapists. Never. So they started coming to the house. They did an evaluation, and Ethan had a severe expressive speech delay. Yeah, severe expressive speech delay. His score was pretty bad. I really didn't feel a certain type of way. I was like, okay, let's just get the therapy done, because all I care about is my child getting better. Whatever stigma may come with whatever diagnosis he gets, that's just what it is. What it is. I don't care. I'm not really big on labels, and I really didn't want them to label my child as having autism. So at first, his diagnosis, they called it sensory processing disorder, which is basically what it says. there's an issue with processing his sensory, so taste, touch, hearing, pretty much all of his senses. And anytime he encountered something he didn't like, you could tell. If it was too loud, meltdown. If it was too bright, meltdown. If the texture wasn't how he wanted it to be, whether it was eating something or touching something, meltdown. It was very difficult for me to take him out to places because his sensory was so bad. So we kind of shied away from birthday parties and stuff until he turned about 3. So with the speech therapy would come Monday and Wednesday for about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and then he would have occupational therapy twice a week for an hour. But they would alternate days just so he wouldn't get tired out. He did very well. He was in both speech therapy and occupational therapy from age 18 months to age 3. They worked with him extensively. And those who know Ethan, they know that he's extremely smart. He was not really talking at all. But when he kind of got comfortable with, I think, hearing himself and how he sounded, he started to talk more. And they always say children learn and they grow on their own time. Yes, there's textbook developmental stages, but children develop on their own time. So I wanted to wait it out, but I knew with my mother's intuition that something was different. I would not say something was wrong. So Ethan has improved drastically. He speaks 3 or 4 languages. Spanish, he knows the Russian alphabet and Mandarin alphabet. He knows how to count in Portuguese, which I think is pretty cool. And he learned all this on his iPad. I speak Spanish, so I try to, say a few words or short phrases with him in Spanish to kind of help him learn. So now he always asks me, ¿Tú eres escuchando, Mom? Because I'm always asking him, ¿Tú eres escuchando? Are you listening? Because when he started acting a fool, I have to be like, okay, I got to pull out all stops. If I got to ask you something in Spanish, then whatever works. Because Ethan get crazy, and y'all know that. So I would continue to work with him, even though, therapy didn't come every day. But he was on that therapeutic regimen for a long time, and I really appreciate and thank those professionals who pretty much got my son confident enough to talk to the point where he don't be quiet now. So this is going to be kind of a short video, only because I really want to go into detail on another video about the different resources for children with autism. But I would encourage any mom or dad, if you feel that your child isn't developing in the manner that you feel that they should, I would go see their provider and talk about the symptoms and talk about the things that you see that you think your child should be doing. And that medical professional can let you know where your child should be and can do any further testing. I think Ethan had probably 5 hearing tests, because at first they thought he couldn't hear, and that's why he wasn't really talking. And he passed every single hearing test. Like I had gotten to the point where I was obsessed at figuring out what was going on with my child, and I think people probably thought I had Munchausen by proxy. And it wasn't that. It was like, okay, I have never seen this. It's my first baby, and I know babies should be talking by now just because I'm a nurse and that's what I learned in school. Whatever. So that's not real life. Children develop on their own time. So there's Easter seals. If your child does not have any type of insurance, Medicaid, anything like that, Easter seals is free up until age 3. They also have private duty, which you can get referrals from your doctor, where you can either go to an outpatient speech therapy, occupational therapy facility, or they can come to the home. And I really like Texas because the therapist came to the home and did everything, instead of me trying to figure out, okay, I have to get off work by this time to rush and get Ethan from school so I could take him to the clinic for the close. That was just too much for me. So I was very thankful that I was able to do it at home so I could continue my work day. He could still hang out with his friends, give him a little time to relax at home before they came. They usually came about 6. So they gave him time to eat a snack and stuff like that. I also noticed that he didn't really like to eat a lot of anything unless it was crunchy. He doesn't like anything smooth, or I don't know, it's just weird. I guess like textures really, really bother him. Like it even took him a while to learn how to play with Play-Doh. He would pick it up and he'd be like, sand. Like once you kind of get him used to it and kind of let him play with it, he kind of will grow to like it. But a lot of things when it comes to introducing him to new things like riding a bike, using a scooter, things like that, it's kind of off balance. So it takes a little bit longer because he doesn't really understand the process. And that's where the processing part comes from. It's kind of like, okay, I'm on a bike and I know I'm supposed to make it go. So I'll start pedaling forward, but then I go back because it's like a natural reaction, like up, like that. So he won't completely roll the pedals over on his bike. So things like that you take for granted in children who what we call normal, typical children that can just get on a bike and ride it. It's not that simple. So you have to kind of, take your time. You can't get frustrated. I've maybe gotten frustrated with Ethan one time, but it wasn't like, I'm gonna beat your ass, Ethan, if you don't get your ass on this bike. It wasn't like that. It was like, I gotta walk away for a second, take a break, regroup, try to figure out how I can talk to him on the level that he understands. This past Sunday was his 6th birthday, and he has shown me that he could do anything. I mean, he's resilient. He can write better than all the kids in his class. He reads on like a 5th grade level. This is coming from a child that couldn't even talk. I will ask him some questions sometimes and he doesn't know how to answer them. Like he'll do something at school that's not very nice. And I'll say, well, Ethan, why did you hit your friend? Well, I don't know. Okay. So, did they do something to you to make you hit them? No, I just hit them. Okay, but why? Like you can never, with Ethan, you cannot get a why. And I think it's because of the way his brain processes things. He doesn't understand the word why. But if Uncle Jimmy or Grandma pop him on his butt for doing something bad, he could tell me that, oh, Grandma whooped my butt because I was jumping on the sofa and this is that. But he can't tell me why he hit somebody if I ask him. But I think that once he gets a little older and kind of socializes a little bit more, because he is a little bit socially awkward with other children, because I think they get too loud and too, into his space, that it makes him feel uncomfortable. So school is good for him. He likes it to a certain extent. I don't think he'll ever attend public school. And the way that COVID-19 has the world right now, I don't even think he'll go back to school, period. Like, I think he'll just be homeschooled. We just kind of weigh it out. But today, I saw this in Target, and it was very intriguing to me. And I don't know why. I don't know if any of you guys know, and you probably don't. My son is staying with Grandma because I'm a nurse and I do work with some patients that have COVID-19. So he's not allowed to be at home with Mom and Levi due to my exposure to patients. So I would rather not. I don't want to bring that home to my child. I know I bring other nasty stuff home, but this is a different type of nasty because you don't know where it originates from. How, it's just too much. And it's just better off that he's with grandma, so I kind of miss my little company. But I guess I must have been thinking about him because I saw this at the counter. And it's from the New York Times, and it's Understanding Autism. And I know that glare is bad, y'all. I'm sorry. But this is it right here. I haven't even gotten a chance to read it yet. But the back of it says, autism, once a misunderstood subject, has seen great illumination in recent years. The recognition of the breadth of the autism spectrum, revelations from research into autism's genetic origins, and most important, new understandings of the needs and capabilities of the autistic have together opened up many new doors, new jobs, and new joys. So this is a cute little picture of the little boy. He looks like Ethan. How he just kind of gazes off into looking at the world. I don't know, children, they're already little people that are just so attentive to everything. They look at everything. And it talks about here, I saw that Sesame Street had incorporated a character named Julia with autism. So it talks about all of that in this magazine. So if any of you all watching this have children with autism, this is a fantastic read, and I love all the different pictures and interactions that this has. I mean, if your child, obtains an autism diagnosis, don't think that that's going to limit them. Number one, it's like a huge spectrum. Autism is a spectrum. You can have your child that has autism, that can't talk, can't feed themselves. It's completely dependent on family and a caregiver. Whereas you have the child with autism that is independent, can do everything at home, tie their shoes, feed themselves, build things, create things, write, draw, read, but he cannot interact in a social setting. It puts him in a bad spot. So you just have so many different areas of autism. You can't put them in one bucket. All of them are different. They say autism isn't as prevalent in little girls as it is in little boys because it's more prevalent in boys. It also states that autism comes from the mom. So I was recently diagnosed with adult ADD, but I kind of can figure that out on my own because when I was younger, I was extremely smart, but I was also extremely quiet. So I don't know. I don't know. I would love to do a genetic test, but the way the world is right now, I'm not doing any type of unnecessary testing because, no. This is interesting. It says baby teeth can link pregnancy and autism. Oh, this is interesting. So I'm going to read this. And I'm going to make another video just to kind of talk about what I read, in this magazine. But I just think this is, this shows how different, you could be with autism. All of these children are not the same. They grow up and become adults and start their own families. And, you just can't put them all in a box because they don't fit. So if you have any questions about autism, put them in the comments. I usually share this also to my Facebook page. So if you watch this and you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you can shoot me a message and ask me whatever questions you have. And I will compile them and make another video and talk about what questions you asked. Try to answer them as informed as possible. So I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy during this quarantine time. And I know with children that have autism over the age of 2 are probably having a really hard time with this because they can't go anywhere. Most children with autism, they enjoy their home environment. They really don't like to go out. But then you have that extroverted child that has autism like Ethan that wants to go outside, but they don't want to wear the mask because they don't like how it feels. So it's difficult during this time to take your child out that has autism with sensory overload, that doesn't want to wear something on that face that can expose them to COVID-19. So if you can leave your children at home, it's strongly advised to do so. Because, you know, they don't get it. And I would rather be safe than sorry. So, like I said, if you guys have questions, hit me up below. And I look forward to talking with you guys soon. Bye. What's that? Sunglasses.
Oh, no!